Hey guys, it's Frank from Cruising with Wheels. Now we know that people have very different views on life and religion, politics, whatever. But find out what happened when we ran into some of the biggest bigots ever in this episode of my Tales from the High Seas. Now, this first incident isn't really like the biggest, but it happens quite often. And we were at dinner, and it was the night that the waiter kept bringing us the food for the next table. And I think we were in Taste eating dinner, if I remember correctly. And the tables for two are very close together. And the waiter kept bringing the wrong food. It was the food for the next table, table for two, this husband and wife. And they kept getting our food, and we kept getting their food. And I think we were talking about this and in another story or some vlog or whatever. And kind of like, ha, 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 ha. As we were looking at each other, you look down and you're like, well, this isn't mine. I didn't order this. And you're both doing the same thing. And then you kind of look at each other, and they're looking at you, and then they're looking at the plate you got, and they're going, I think that's mine. And I'm going, I think that's ours. And they go, and at the same time, we're like, did you get our food? And we're like, I think we did. What did you get? I got blah, blah. Oh, well, I ordered that. And comes like, I ordered that. And they're like, I ordered that. So we're like switching plates. So it was kind of, funny. But that always seems to segue because, people are curious, and that's a great thing. But what it's funny is, you see two guys sitting together, and so the lady's like, as we're kind of chit-chatting, and she's like, so, are you brothers? And so I was like, no. I said, we're married. And I went like this with my ring, and she was like, no response, no, even the polite, oh, nothing, not even that. We saw the look of shock and horror as she immediately looked down and started eating her food in silence, and even the conversation with her husband ended. So I don't know if she was embarrassed. I don't know if she was just kind of like, that wasn't the response she expected to get. People always say that, Kevin and I, oh, you two look alike. We always get, are you brothers? And I'm like, no, that's my husband. And they're either, oh, how awesome, or the polite, oh. But now we got a new one. We got the look of horror added to our collection of reactions. So it was kind of funny. But I'm sure they were talking about us after dinner. Now, this next story was the absolute worst of the worst of the worst. And I'm going to try to tell the story, and it's going to be difficult. And I'm going to try because I don't want to offend anyone, because the dialogue that was happening between these two men was absolutely disgusting and horrific. So I'm going to do my best. Now, it was disembarkation day. And everybody was up early, wanting to get to eat breakfast, and just like us. But we have decided several times during the cruise not to get up to the buffet, and Kevin would just run up and just quickly grab two plates and just grab food, and cover them, and he would run down to the cabin, and we would eat in our room. Now, he had already, first thing, had already gotten a coffee, and then he did the run for food. Now, he was in the elevator. It was 6:30 in the morning, and he decided that before he was going to grab the food, he was kind of going to go up and take pictures as we were rolling into the port of New York. So he gets on the elevator, and there are two gentlemen on the elevator. Now, I'm going to stop here for a moment because I want to set the scene for you. Now, we were on a New England, Canada cruise. And I know you're sitting there going, yeah, okay, we know that. What's your point? Okay, New England, Canada, up north, where people view us in New England and up north as liberals. You know, those northern liberals. Those, snowflake daisy, gay loving, minority loving liberals, who hate America. Okay? We sailed out of the port of New York City. So we are returning to New York City. Some people have the view. Now, New York City is the melting pot. Okay, the melting pot of the country, of the world, like many, many large metropolitan cities. New York City is like the United Nations of America. It has all people from all walks of life, religions, ethnic backgrounds, everything you could possibly think of. And some people don't like that. Okay? Don't like it at all. They think that America should be one way, this way, and the only way, and anything different they don't like. Not America. Not my America. Okay, so I've now prefaced my story. Let me continue. He gets in the elevator with two gentlemen. It is disembarkation day. Are you getting where I'm going with this? And these two gentlemen are talking. And now let me tell you, they are all bedazzled and bedecked in their little uniform. I'm going to call it their little uniform. They had on matching outfits. They both had the red hat on. They had the matching t-shirts. And wearing their identical little uniforms, they were railing loudly about how horrible this cruise was. This GD cruise, never again. I never saw so many GD liberals. I'll never sail out of this GD New York loaded with all these, what should I say? Okay, well, I'll start with us, because, we're usually at the top of the list. With these GD gays and these Jews and these, and I'll be kind when they talked about the blacks, but they didn't use that word. They used the N-word, and then another word, and then another word, and they were just going on and on about New York City, and then they were going on about the ship, and they hated it. And did you see that show the other night? And they were talking about the theater show After Midnight, and it was an all-black cast of awesome singers and dancers set in the 1930s and 40s. Stupendously awesome show. And they were horrified that it was an all-black cast. And they were railing about that. And going on and on. Now, Kevin is like, he's in the elevator, right? And he's like, oh my God, I am on the elevator ride from hell. I am in the mini Ku Klux Klan elevator ride. Oh my God, get me out. So these two, they're just going off. And he's standing there. And again, they're finishing with, and I'll never do this cruise again. Am I right? Am I right? So they look at Kevin and they're like, huh? Am I right? Am I right? So Kevin looks at them and goes, and I want to look at this because I want to make sure I got his response right. Kevin looks at them and says, no, and I think my gay black Jewish husband would agree with me. And the doors opened, and they were like, huh? And out he walked. Horrified. Absolutely horrified. Now, people have, their own political views and their own views on life and who they like and who they don't like. But to be in a public elevator with other passengers railing against the Jews, the gays, the blacks, the crews, New York City, and again, I was using as polite words as I could to explain to you what was happening in that elevator ride. The horrible, discriminatory, nasty, vulgar language that was coming out of these two little uniformed, bigoted assholes was absolutely horrifying. And that's how we ended the cruise on disembarkation day, with these two morons. People, the two of you, if you're watching, I doubt you are, but you are part of America that was built on immigrants that came over from many countries that built this nation and made it what it is. I don't know where you think you're living or who you think your neighbors are, but we are a melting pot country. So unless you want to go off somewhere and live in a cave by yourselves, you are going to be part of this great country, these great communities, cities and towns, neighborhoods that we all live in. And unless you can get along, you need to go somewhere else, because we ain't going nowhere. And you're going to find the gays and the blacks and the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims and the Latinos and the Indians and we're all everywhere, people. We're everywhere. Get over yourselves. That's all I have to say. It was a very unpleasant experience for Kevin. But as usual, he handled it with grace and dignity. So, I want to thank you for joining me today for another episode of my Tales from the High Seas. Remember to also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And also, remember, on Facebook, I have a group called Cruise Chat. In Cruise Chat, it's a private group. Click to join, and you will join thousands of other cruisers from all walks of cruise life, from all different cruise lines that they love, and some that maybe they don't love. But it's a safe place to come and to ask questions and learn about cruising with no judgment, no bigotry. We're here to help. So, I'll see you next time. And on behalf of Kevin and myself, travel safe and cruise often. Bye-bye now.